She was supposed to meet someone special that night, 2 days before Christmas, at a restaurant filled with laughter and warmth. Instead, she sat alone, staring at a text that shattered her. "The deaf thing is more than I'm looking for right now." Her hands trembled. Her eyes burned. Maybe this was how her story ended: ignored, rejected, alone. But then, two little girls with curly brown hair appeared at her table, and what they signed next changed everything. Before we continue, please tell us, where in the world are you tuning in from? We love seeing how far our stories travel. The bistro hummed with holiday energy. Couples sharing desserts, families celebrating early Christmas dinners, the clinking of glasses mixing with cheerful conversations. But at the corner table by the window, Lauren Bentley sat in crushing silence. 45 minutes she'd waited. Her water glass had been refilled 4 times. The sympathy in the waitress's eyes evolving from understanding to pity. She checked her phone again. 6:47 p.m. That's when she saw it. "Hey, can't make it tonight. Just realized this probably won't work out anyway. The deaf thing is more than I'm looking for right now. Take care." Her breath caught. The deaf thing. As if her entire identity could be reduced to an inconvenient detail, a complication he'd decided against. Lauren's throat tightened. She signaled for the check, trying to hold on to whatever dignity she had left. She should have known better. 3 years of avoiding romance, burying herself in work at the school for deaf children, and the first time she tried again, the first time her sister convinced her to take a chance, this happened. Again.
Her sister's voice echoed in her mind from that morning. "Lauren, you can't hide forever. Michael wouldn't have wanted that for you." But her sister didn't understand. She couldn't understand what it felt like to explain your deafness over and over, to watch interest fade from people's faces when they realized loving you would require effort, adaptation, patience. As she dabbed at her eyes with her napkin, she didn't notice the 2 pairs of curious brown eyes watching her from across the restaurant. Callie tugged on her twin sister's sleeve. "Cassie, look, that lady is crying." Cassie followed her gaze to the woman by the window. Even at 5 years old, the twins had learned to read people. Their father said it came from living with Grandma Margaret, from understanding that communication went beyond words. "She's really sad," Callie whispered. "Like when Daddy cries in the garage," Cassie added quietly, "when he thinks we can't see." Travis, trying to convince them to eat their carrots, caught that comment and felt his chest tighten. He thought he'd been more careful about hiding those moments. "Daddy?" Cassie turned to him. "That lady is alone and sad." Travis glanced over, careful not to stare. The woman did look distressed, her shoulders hunched as she put on her coat. "Sometimes people have hard days, sweetheart. We should give her privacy." "But it's almost Christmas," Cassie said, as if sadness wasn't allowed during the holidays. But then the woman signed something to the waitress, a simple "thank you," and both girls' eyes widened. "Daddy!" both girls said in unison. "She knows sign language." Before Travis could react, both girls slipped out of the booth with the speed of tiny ninjas. His engineer's brain calculated the distance, their trajectory, and his chances of catching them. He came up short on all counts. "Girls, wait!" But they were already at her table.
Lauren felt a gentle tug on her dress. She looked down to find 2 identical little girls staring up at her, their curly brown hair catching the warm restaurant lighting. They couldn't have been more than 5 years old. Then the one on the left raised her hands and signed, perfectly and clearly, "Can we join you? You look sad." Lauren's breath caught. She blinked, certain she'd misread, but the little girl was still there, waiting patiently for an answer. She knelt down to their level, signing back. "You know sign language?" "Our grandma is deaf. She teaches us. I'm Cassie." "I'm Callie," the other added. "You're really pretty. Why are you crying?" Lauren felt something break open in her chest, something that had been locked tight since she'd read that message. She laughed, a genuine sound that surprised her. "Someone was supposed to meet me for dinner, but they decided not to come." "That's mean," Callie signed, emphatically, her face scrunching with indignation. "Very mean," Cassie agreed, crossing her arms.
especially before Christmas. Christmas is for being together. Girls! A man arrived at the table, slightly out of breath, his face flushed with embarrassment. He was tall, with kind eyes that matched his daughter's, and when he spoke, his hands moved simultaneously in sign language, a habit so natural it was clearly part of who he was. "I'm so sorry," he said, signing. "They just took off before I could stop them." Lauren stood, wiping quickly at her eyes. "It's okay. They were just keeping me company." "Daddy, she got stood up," Cassie announced loud enough for nearby tables to hear. "That means someone was supposed to come but didn't come."
"Cassie," Travis said, his face reddening, "that's not something we announced to the whole restaurant." "But it's true," Callie defended, "and it's not fair. Nobody should be alone before Christmas." Travis looked at Lauren, really looked at her, and saw the pain she was trying to hide behind a polite smile. Something in her expression reminded him of his own reflection on the hard days, the ones where putting on a brave face for the girls took everything he had. "I'm Travis Grant, and these are my daughters, who apparently have no concept of personal boundaries." "Lauren Bentley," she said, managing a small smile, "and they're wonderful." "Can she eat with us?" Callie asked, pulling on Travis's hand. "We have lots of room, and she shouldn't be alone." "Girls, I'm sure Lauren has other plans." "Actually," Lauren heard herself say, surprising even herself, "I don't. Not anymore." Travis hesitated, searching her face. Whatever he saw there, the loneliness he recognized because he knew it intimately, the hope fighting against disappointment, the desperate need to not be alone tonight, made him nod. "We'd be honored if you'd join us. Though I should warn you, there's an ongoing negotiation about vegetables that might get intense." Lauren smiled, the first real smile she'd managed all evening. "I teach third graders. I'm professionally trained in vegetable negotiations." The girls cheered and practically dragged Lauren to their booth. As she slid in next to Callie, Cassie immediately climbed onto her lap with the confidence of a child who'd never learned to fear strangers. "Cassie, give her some space," Travis said, mortified. But Lauren was already laughing, helping Cassie settle comfortably. The weight of the small child in her lap, the warmth of her, it filled something Lauren hadn't realized was empty. "It's fine, really." She looked at the abandoned orange vegetables on their plates. "So, what's the situation here?"
"They're orange," Callie explained with grave seriousness, as if this explained everything. "Ah, orange vegetables! That is tricky. But did you know that orange vegetables help you see in the dark? Very important for Christmas morning when you need to check if Santa came without turning on the lights." The twins' eyes widened. They exchanged one of their mysterious twin looks and slowly, reluctantly, began eating their carrots. Travis stared at Lauren with something like awe. "How did you do that? I've been trying for 20 minutes. Secret teacher magic," Lauren signed with a wink. As the girls worked through their vegetables, Travis found himself studying Lauren, the way she signed so naturally, the genuine interest in her eyes as she listened to his daughter's chatter. "So, you teach at a deaf school?" "Mayfield School for the Deaf. I've been there for 3 years, 3rd grade, 8 and 9-year-olds. They're at that perfect age where they're still excited about learning, but old enough to have real conversations. That must be a rewarding work." "It is. They remind me every day that being deaf isn't a limitation, it's just a different way of experiencing the world." Lauren paused, her fingers tracing the rim of her water glass, though the rest of the world doesn't always see it that way. Travis catched the pain in her voice. "The person who stood you up tonight, they didn't deserve you anyway." "You don't even know me," Lauren said, but she was smiling slightly. "I know you were kind to 2 random children who interrupted your evening. I know you signed with them like it was the most natural thing in the world. I know you turned vegetable eating into an adventure." Travis signed as he spoke, his movements becoming more animated.
"That tells me plenty." Lauren felt her cheeks warm. "What about you? What does a structural engineer do exactly?" I design bridges, Travis said, and his whole face lit up. I calculate load distributions, stress points, how to make sure thousands of people can cross safely every day. There's something beautiful about it, creating connections between places that couldn't reach each other before. Like building bridges between people, too, Callie chimed in. Daddy says his job is about connecting things. That's very philosophical for a 5-year-old, Lauren signed to her, impressed. We're almost 6, Cassie corrected with dignity. Our birthday's in February. February 14th, Valentine's Day babies. Mommy used to say we were born on the day of love. The air at the table shifted. Travis's expression flickered with something painful before he smoothed it away. Lauren noticed. She'd become expert at reading what people didn't say. Your mommy sounds like she was very special, Lauren signed gently to the girls. She was, Cassie said, matter-of-factly. But she's in heaven now. She's been there for 2 years. I'm so sorry, Lauren said, looking at Travis. He cleared his throat. Rachel died in an accident at work. An elevator malfunction. It dropped 3 floors. She was only 34. He paused, his hands stilling briefly, before continuing to sign. My mother, Margaret, moved in after to help with the girls. She's been incredible. And Grandma taught us sign language even better, because she's deaf like you. Is she? Lauren's interest was genuine now. How long has she been deaf? Since she was born, Travis explained. Growing up, it was just normal for me. I learned to sign before I started school. When the girls came along, Mom was adamant that they learn too. She said being able to communicate with everyone in the family was the greatest gift she could give them. Lauren felt tears prick her eyes again, but these were different. That's beautiful. So many deaf people feel isolated, even in their own families. Your mother made sure that would never happen. She's the strongest person I know, Travis said simply. After Rachel died, I was barely holding it together. The girls were only 3, confused about why Mommy wasn't coming home. Mom moved in and just took over. Not in a controlling way, but in a, you're drowning and I'm throwing you a life raft way. Lauren nodded slowly. I understand that feeling, of barely holding it together. She paused, her fingers tracing the rim of her water glass. My fiancé died 3 years ago. Heart attack at work. He was only 31. Training for marathons, the healthiest person I knew. One minute he was alive, sending me texts about what to have for dinner, and the next, she took a shaky breath. Travis waited quietly, not pushing. Then I just buried myself in work. Teaching became my whole life. But my sister kept saying I couldn't hide forever, that I was too young to give up on love. So tonight, she set this up, convinced me to try. Lauren laughed bitterly. I was very upfront about being deaf on the dating app. This guy, Daniel, seemed fine with it. He said he'd always wanted to learn sign language, like it was some hobby he'd been meaning to pick up. But then he decided it was too much work, Travis said quietly. Exactly. Lauren's hands moved sharply as she signed. The message he sent was, the deaf thing is more than I'm looking for right now. Like I'm some complicated appliance he decided not to purchase.
Travis felt anger flash through him. That's incredibly cruel. It's not the first time, Lauren admitted. After Michael died, I waited a year before I tried dating again. Every single time, once people realize what being with a deaf person actually means, learning sign language, dealing with captions, understanding that I can't hear them call from another room, they disappear, so I stopped trying. Until tonight, Travis said. Until tonight. Lauren looked at the twins, who were now building a tower out of sugar packets. And honestly, getting stood up was terrible, but meeting your daughters, that's the best thing that's happened to me in a long time. Callie looked up from her tower. Can you teach us a Christmas song in sign language? Right now? Lauren asked. Please? Both girls signed simultaneously, their eyes huge and pleading. Travis shrugged with a smile. You walked into this one.
For the next 20 minutes, Lauren taught them Silent Night in sign language, their booth becoming a small island of joy in the busy restaurant. Other diners smiled as they watched the two little girls and the blonde woman moving their hands in synchronized poetry, their father joining in with less grace but equal enthusiasm. The sign for silent is like closing a book, Lauren demonstrated, bringing her hands together gently. And night is like the sun going down below the horizon. This is so pretty, Cassie breathed, practicing the movement over and over. Daddy, your hands are too stiff, like robots. Gentle and flowing, Lauren encouraged, adjusting Travis's hand position. The brief touch was friendly, comfortable, like they'd known each other longer than an hour.
By the time they finished, several nearby tables applauded. The twins took elaborate bows, clearly thrilled with their new skill. When the waitress brought the check, she smiled at their table. That was beautiful to watch. You have a lovely family. Before Travis could correct her, Lauren felt Cassie's hand slip into hers under the table, and Callie lean against her shoulder. Something shifted in her chest. A feeling she'd forgotten existed. The feeling of belonging. Travis insisted on paying for Lauren's untouched meal. Please, it's the least I can do after my daughters hijacked your evening. They didn't hijack anything, Lauren said softly. They saved it. As they gathered their coats, the girls grew quiet, a sure sign they were plotting something. Lauren, Callie started carefully, do you have plans tomorrow? Just the usual Saturday things. Grading papers, cleaning my apartment. Why? We're making Christmas cookies tomorrow. With Grandma. You should come. Girls, Lauren probably has better things to do then. Actually, Lauren interrupted, I can't think of anything better than making Christmas cookies with you. If your grandmother wouldn't mind. She won't mind, both girls said together. Travis pulled out a napkin and wrote down his address and number, his handwriting precise and clear, an engineer's handwriting. Around 2? But really, you don't have to feel obligated. I want to. And she meant it. She looked at the address. Maple Street. That's not far from me. Really? Travis seemed surprised. We're practically neighbors. All this time and our paths never crossed until tonight. Maybe they were supposed to cross tonight, Callie said with 5-year-old wisdom. Maybe the mean man didn't come, so you could meet us instead. Lauren knelt down and hugged both girls tightly. You know what? I think you might be right. As they walked to the parking lot, snow began to fall. The first snow of the season, fat flakes catching in the streetlights.
It's snowing! The twins shrieked, spinning in circles with their tongues out. Lauren laughed watching them. When she looked at Travis, she found him smiling at his daughters. Thank you, he said quietly. For tonight. You could have said no when they barged up to your table, but you didn't. You gave them something special. You gave me something too, Lauren replied. A reminder that kindness still exists. That's been hard to remember lately. They stood there in the falling snow, two strangers who'd shared an unexpected evening. Tomorrow, then, Travis said finally. Tomorrow, Lauren confirmed. As she drove home, Lauren felt something unfamiliar stirring in her chest. Not hope for romance. That felt too scary, too soon. But hope for connection, for friendship, for not being quite so alone anymore. The next afternoon, Lauren stood on Travis's doorstep, a bag of baking supplies in one hand and a bouquet of winter flowers in the other. She'd changed outfits twice before settling on jeans and a soft blue sweater. Not because she was trying to impress anyone, she reminded herself firmly, but because she wanted to look nice. She could feel vibrations through the porch, running feet, excited voices. Before she could knock, the door flew open. You came! Callie and Cassie shouted together, launching themselves at her. Lauren laughed, nearly dropping her packages as she hugged them. Of course I came. I promised, didn't I? Travis appeared behind them, flour already dusting his dark hair. Girls, let her get inside first. He smiled at Lauren.
Welcome to Chaos Central. The house was warm and lived in the best way. Toys scattered across the floor told stories of play. A half-built Lego castle, dolls having a tea party, picture books stacked in precarious towers. Children's artwork covered the refrigerator. Crayon drawings of stick figures holding hands, painted handprints in rainbow colors. The scent of cinnamon and pine filled the air from a real Christmas tree in the corner, decorated heavily on the bottom, sparse on top. "Your home is beautiful," Lauren said, taking it all in. "It's messy," Travis corrected with a self-deprecating smile. "No, it's lived in. There's a difference." Lauren thought of her own apartment, pristine, organized, and utterly lonely. This is a real home. From the kitchen emerged a woman in her early 60s with silver-streaked hair and Travis's kind eyes. Margaret Grant moved with quiet grace, and when she saw Lauren signing with her granddaughters, her whole face lit up. "You must be Lauren," Margaret signed, her movements fluid and expressive. "The girls haven't stopped talking about you since last night." "It's wonderful to meet you," Lauren signed back, feeling some of her nervousness ease. There was something comforting about being with another deaf woman, someone who understood implicitly what the world was like. Margaret studied her for a moment, then smiled warmly. "You have kind eyes and patient hands. I can tell from how you sign with the girls. You must be a wonderful teacher." "I try," Lauren said, oddly touched by the compliment. "Come," Margaret gestured toward the kitchen. "We have cookie dough to make and stories to share." The afternoon unfolded like a dream. The kitchen became a warm cocoon of flour dust and laughter. Margaret and Lauren fell into easy conversation, their hands flying as they discussed teaching techniques, favorite recipes, growing up deaf in different generations. "When I was young, there were so few resources. My parents didn't learn sign language. They thought I should just read lips and try to speak. It wasn't until I went to a deaf school that I finally felt like I could breathe." "I was lucky," Lauren signed back, rolling out cookie dough while Cassie pressed star-shaped cutters into it. "My parents learned sign language before I was even diagnosed. They made sure I never felt isolated." "But you still face it, don't you? The isolation that comes from a hearing world that doesn't want to make room for us." Lauren felt tears prick her eyes. "Every day. Last night was just the latest reminder." Margaret reached over and squeezed her hand, getting flour on both of them. "Grandma says fools don't deserve cookies," Cassie chimed in, making both women laugh. Travis leaned against the doorway, watching this scene unfold. His daughters were covered in flour, carefully decorating cookies with intense concentration. His mother was laughing, really laughing, in a way he hadn't seen in months. And Lauren fit into the picture so naturally. "Daddy, stop staring and come help," Cassie called out, catching him. "You're supervising," he signed back. "You're being lazy," Callie corrected, making everyone laugh. For the next hour they created an army of cookies. Stars, trees, snowmen, bells. The girls insisted on putting too much frosting on everything, creating colorful, chaotic masterpieces. "This one is for you," Cassie said, presenting Lauren with a star cookie decorated with elaborate swirls of blue frosting. "Because you're like a star that came to our house." Lauren felt her throat tighten. "It's perfect. Thank you." "You can't keep it forever. You have to eat it," Callie said practically. "But we can make you more anytime you visit." As cookies baked and filled the house with sweetness, Margaret pulled out photo albums. "Let me show you pictures of when these two were babies." "Mom, no," Travis groaned good-naturedly. "Yes," the girls shouted, abandoning their frosting to climb onto the couch with Lauren. For the next hour, Lauren was treated to the Grant family history. Baby pictures of the twins looking impossibly tiny. Travis and Rachel's wedding photo. Rachel was beautiful, with dark hair and a warm smile that reached her eyes. This was Rachel's favorite, Margaret signed, showing a photo of all of them at the girl's 3rd birthday, just months before the accident. Rachel had one girl on each hip, all 3 of them laughing at something off camera. Travis stood behind them,
his arms around all three, his expression full of unguarded joy. Lauren looked at the photo for a long moment. She was beautiful, and you can see how much she loved all of you. She did, Travis said quietly. She would have liked you. She always believed the best people were the ones who saw differences as gifts instead of obstacles.
When dinner time rolled around, Travis insisted Lauren stay. "We're just having spaghetti, nothing fancy." "Fancy is overrated," Lauren said. Dinner was delightfully chaotic. The girls demonstrated their proper spaghetti eating technique, one noodle at a time, slurped with maximum sound effects. Margaret told stories in sign language about Travis as a child, each one more embarrassing than the last. "Remember when Cassie decided to give herself a haircut?" Travis signed, grinning. "I was making myself beautiful," Cassie defended. "You cut it down to the sculpt on one side," Travis reminded her. "Artistic vision," Cassie signed with exaggerated dignity, making everyone laugh. As they ate, Lauren felt something settling in her chest. This was what she'd been missing. Not romance, but this. Connection. Laughter. Being part of something. After dinner, the girls insisted on performing their school nativity play for Lauren. Cassie played Mary with great solemnity, while Callie played Joseph with enthusiastic interpretation. And then baby Jesus was born, Cassie announced, and everyone was happy. The end. "Wait, I have a song." Callie suddenly began singing a Christmas carol while doing a spinning dance. "That's not in the nativity story," Travis pointed out. "Artistic license," Callie signed, continuing her performance. Lauren applauded enthusiastically, and both girls took multiple bows. As the evening wound down, Travis started the bedtime routine. Lauren began gathering her things, but the girls latched onto her hands. "You have to help us tuck us in," Callie insisted. "Yeah, it's part of visiting. Rules are rules." Travis looked apologetic. "You don't have to." "I'd love to," Lauren said softly. The girls' room was an explosion of pink and purple, with twin beds covered in stuffed animals and glow-in-the-dark stars on the ceiling. "I sleep on this side, and Cassie sleeps on that side," Callie explained. Travis tucked in Callie while Lauren tucked in Cassie. It felt natural, comfortable. "Will you come back?" Callie asked, her eyes already heavy with sleep. "If your dad and grandma say it's okay," Lauren said gently. "Please come back," Cassie murmured. "We really like you." "I really like you, too," Lauren whispered. As they left the room, Callie's sleepy voice called out, "Lauren, that mean man who didn't come to dinner, we're glad he didn't come, because then we found you instead." Lauren had to press her hand to her mouth to hold back tears. Downstairs, Margaret had tactfully disappeared to her room, leaving Travis and Lauren alone in the living room. The tree lights cast soft shadows. "Your family is incredible," Lauren said, settling onto the couch. "They're pretty fond of you, too," Travis replied, sitting in the armchair across from her, a comfortable distance. "Mom told me earlier that you have an old soul and a generous heart." "She's amazing. The way she's created this home where everyone can communicate, she taught me that. Growing up, I never thought of my mom as disabled or limited. She was just Mom." They sat in comfortable silence for a moment. "Can I ask you something?" Lauren said quietly. "Anything. Do you ever feel guilty for having moments where you're happy again?" Travis let out a long breath. "Every single day. Like if I laugh too hard or enjoy something too much, I'm somehow betraying Rachel's memory. Michael and I were planning our wedding. Sometimes I feel guilty for even considering the idea of dating again, like I'm giving up on him." "But you're not," Travis said gently. "You're just trying to keep living." "Are you trying to keep living?" Travis was quiet for a moment. "I'm trying to learn how, for the girls. But most days I'm just going through the motions." "Me too," Lauren admitted. "It's exhausting, isn't it?" "Incredibly." They sat there, two people who understood loss in a way most people didn't. Not romantic, just honest. "I should go," Lauren said after a while. "It's getting late." "The girls would love to see you again," Travis said as he walked her to the door. "If you'd like to come back sometime." "I'd like that. Maybe we could be friends? I could use a friend who understands." "Me too,"
Travis said with genuine warmth. Friends sounds perfect.
Thank you for today, Lauren said. Thank you for coming back despite knowing exactly what you were getting into. They stood on the threshold, something unspoken hanging between them. Tomorrow, Travis said, the girls want you here by 9. They've scheduled present opening for 9:07. 9:07, very specific. They're their father's daughters. I'll be here. Her phone buzzed as she drove home. Mom wants to know what you'd like for Christmas breakfast. She's offering French toast, pancakes, or her famous cinnamon rolls. Tea. Lauren laughed, typing, cinnamon rolls, please, and tell your mother I'll bring orange juice. Mom says don't bother. We have enough orange juice to survive an apocalypse. The girls went through a phase. See you at 9:07 sharp. Inside her apartment, Lauren looked at her small tree with new eyes. Tomorrow she'd wake up alone, like she had for 3 Christmases. But then she'd drive to a house where people had decided she belonged. She thought about Michael, about the Christmases they'd planned that would never happen. I'm trying, she whispered. I'm trying to be brave. Across town, Travis and Margaret were having a conversation. She's special, Margaret signed. I know. The girls love her already. I know. And you? Travis watched the Christmas tree lights blink. I think I'm terrified. Of what? Of how right this feels. Of how fast it's happening. Of losing someone again. Margaret took his hands. Life doesn't promise us forever, but it does give us moments, days, Christmases with people who make us feel alive. The question isn't whether you might lose again. You might. The question is whether you're brave enough to choose joy anyway.
Christmas morning. Lauren arrived at 9:06, watching through the window as the girls counted down on an elaborate timer. At exactly 9:07, she rang the doorbell. The door flew open. Perfect timing! Merry Christmas, Travis said, warmth in his eyes making her heart stutter. Merry Christmas, Margaret signed from the kitchen, where something smelled like cinnamon and heaven. Lauren had brought small gifts, a book on bridges for Travis, a scarf for Margaret, and matching journals for the girls. Presents first or breakfast first? Travis asked. Presents! The girls opened gifts with systematic precision. Sign language books, matching stuffed puppies they immediately named Dorothy and Toto. When they pulled out a small box with Lauren's name in it, she looked at Travis in surprise. The girls insisted, he said, ears pink. Inside was a delicate silver bracelet with 3 charms, a hand signing L, a snowflake, and a tiny book. For Lauren, for Christmas, and because you're a teacher, Cassie explained. It's perfect, thank you. Now you're part of our Christmas, Callie said simply. Lauren excused herself to cry in the bathroom. Margaret found her, handed her a tissue, and pulled her into a hug. Breakfast was Margaret's cinnamon rolls, which lived up to their reputation. The morning unfolded with easy family rhythm. The girls showed Lauren every gift, taught Dorothy and Toto sign language. They built an elaborate fort from boxes. Around noon, they all crowded into the box fort, too small for everyone, but nobody cared. They drank cocoa, ate cookies, and the girls performed a dramatic retelling of Christmas Eve from the reindeer's perspective. And Rudolph said to Blitzen, "My nose isn't a disability, it's a superpower." By mid-afternoon, the girls' energy flagged. They curled up on the couch with Lauren between them and fell asleep watching a movie. Travis signed to her, "Sorry, they're using you as furniture." "I don't mind." Margaret snapped quietly a photo before disappearing. "They never nap anymore," Travis said softly. "Haven't in months. Should I move? They'd wake up and be furious they missed time with you." They sat in comfortable silence.
Thank you for being here, Travis said. This is the first Christmas since Rachel died that's felt like joy instead of just going through the motions. Thank you for including me. You're not a stranger anymore. No, I'm not. When the girls woke, they insisted on teaching Lauren their favorite game, involving stuffed animals and rules that changed every 3 minutes. Dinner was leftovers eaten picnic style on the living room floor, because the girls declared the dining room too formal for Christmas. As evening drew in, Callie crawled into Lauren's lap. "Are you coming back after Christmas? Do you want me to?" "Every day." "Every day might be a lot, but often? Regularly?" "I teach until 3:30 most days. I could come by after?" The girls cheered. Travis looked at her like she'd just offered him the world. That evening, after the girls were asleep, Travis and Lauren stood on the back porch as snow fell. "This has been the best Christmas I've had in 3 years," Lauren said softly. "For us, too. The girls are happier than I've seen them in a long time, and I think I'm starting to remember what happiness feels like." "Me too," Lauren admitted. They stood in comfortable silence, just friends enjoying the peace of the moment. "Merry Christmas, Lauren." "Merry Christmas, Travis." Over the following weeks, Lauren became a regular presence in the Grant household. She came for dinners twice a week, helped the girls with homework, taught them new signs. She and Margaret bonded deeply over their shared experiences. But it was friendship. Comfortable, easy friendship. Travis would tell her about his bridge designs, and she'd share funny stories from her classroom. They'd laugh over the girls' antics and commiserate about the challenges of moving forward after loss. Sometimes Margaret would watch them and smile, seeing something they hadn't seen yet. But she said nothing. One evening in late January, Lauren was helping clean up after dinner when she mentioned, "There's a position opening up in Boston, at a prestigious deaf school." Travis felt something tighten in his chest, but he pushed it aside. "That sounds amazing. Are you going to apply?"
"I don't know," Lauren said honestly. "It's a huge opportunity, but what? I'd have to leave everyone here. The girls, your mom, you." She paused. "My students. This life I'm building." "You should apply," Travis said, even though the words felt wrong in his mouth. "Don't make decisions based on us. We'd miss you, but we'd want you to be happy." Lauren looked at him for a long moment. "When did you become such a good friend?" "When did you?" Travis shot back with a smile. But that night after Lauren left, Travis sat in his workshop staring at his bridge designs and realized something had shifted. Somewhere between friendship and something else. He wasn't ready to name it yet. Maybe she wasn't either. But it was there. In mid-February, the girls turned 6. Lauren helped plan their birthday party, making deaf-friendly adaptations so all their friends could participate. "Thank you," Travis signed to her as they cleaned up after. "They're amazing kids. You're doing an incredible job with them." "We're doing an incredible job with them," Travis corrected. "You're as much a part of their lives now as anyone." Lauren felt her heart skip. When did his words meaning more than they should? "Travis," she started, then stopped. "What?" "Nothing. Never mind." But Margaret, watching from the kitchen doorway, knew. She'd seen this coming for weeks. One evening in early March, about 10 weeks after they'd first met, Travis asked Lauren to come to his workshop. "I want to show you something," he signed. Inside was his current project, a pedestrian bridge for the city park. "This one's special," Travis explained. "It's just for people walking, connecting 2 sides of the park that have been separated by a ravine." Lauren studied the elegant design. "It's beautiful. I started it after Rachel died. I needed to create something about connection, about bridging gaps. I didn't realize until recently that I was designing it for myself too." "What do you mean?" "I was stuck on one side of a ravine, the side where Rachel died, where I was just surviving. But I'm starting to realize there's another side, a side where I can live again, where I can—" He trailed off. "Where you can what?" Lauren asked softly. "Where I can feel things again. Not just for the girls, for myself too." They stood in silence for a moment.
Lauren, I need to tell you something, Travis said, his hands moving carefully. But these past few months, getting to know you, watching you with the girls, talking with you about everything and nothing, I've realized something. Lauren's heart was pounding. What? I'm starting to have feelings for you. Real feelings. Not just friendship. He took a breath. And I'm terrified, because I wasn't looking for this. I didn't think I was ready. But somewhere along the way, you became more than just a friend. Lauren felt tears streaming down her face. I'm scared too, because I feel it too, and I don't know if I'm ready either. We don't have to rush anything, Travis said quickly. We can take this as slowly as we need to. Or if you just want to stay friends. I don't want to just stay friends, but I'm scared. What if we try this and it doesn't work? What if I lose you and the girls and Margaret? What if we try this and it does work? What if we're both missing out on something beautiful because we're too scared? From the doorway came a small voice. Are you guys going to be boyfriend and girlfriend now? Because Grandma says it's about time. They sprang apart to find both girls watching with enormous eyes. How long have you been there? Travis asked. Long enough, and we think you should be together. You make Daddy smile again. And you make us happy, so it's okay if you want to kiss and stuff. Lauren laughed through her tears. You two are something else.
We know, they said in unison. Travis looked at Lauren. So, what do you think? Want to try this? Slowly? Lauren thought about the Boston job offer sitting in her email. About 3 years of being alone. About 2 little girls who'd seen her crying and decided to help. About a man who'd become her best friend. Yes, she said softly. Let's try this. Slowly. They kept their word about going slowly. Their first official date was 2 weeks later. Dinner at a quiet restaurant, just the two of them. They held hands across the table and talked for hours. The same easy conversation they'd always had, but with a new warmth underneath. Their first kiss came a month after that, standing in his workshop late one night after the girls were asleep. It was gentle, tentative, both of them still scared, but willing to be brave. The girls were thrilled. Margaret was unsurprised. And slowly, carefully, Travis and Lauren built something new on the foundation of their friendship. 4 months after their first date, Lauren made her decision about Boston. She turned it down. Are you sure? Travis asked when she told him. I don't want you to give up opportunities because of us. I'm not giving up anything, Lauren said firmly. I'm choosing what I want, and what I want is here. My students, your mother, the girls, you. This life we're building together. Travis pulled her close. I love you, Lauren Bedley. I love you too, Travis Grant. From the living room came twin shrieks of joy. They had been eavesdropping again. 18 months after they started dating, 2 years after that first night in the restaurant, Travis proposed. It was a Tuesday afternoon, in the chaotic flower-covered kitchen, with the girls helping make bread.
Lauren Bentley, he signed as he knelt down. You walked into our lives when we needed you most. You became our friend first, then so much more. You showed the girls that being different is beautiful. You taught me that my heart was big enough to love again. Will you marry me? The girls were practically vibrating with excitement. Lauren didn't hesitate. Yes. Margaret appeared from the other room, signing, Finally, with a huge grin. They married the following Christmas Eve, in their snow-covered backyard. Margaret walked Lauren down the aisle, both of them crying and signing, I love you. They exchanged vows in 2 languages, promising to build bridges between any gaps they found, to choose each other every day. When they kissed, the girls cheered loud enough to startle birds from the trees. 5 years later, their home was even more beautiful. The twins were 11, helping with their little brother Caleb, teaching him sign language with patience and love. The photo wall had expanded. Rachel still smiled from her place of honor, a beloved memory woven into their family tapestry. Beside her hung photos of Lauren and Travis's wedding, family vacations, everyday moments of joy. One photo captured it all. That first Christmas morning 5 years ago, when Lauren had joined them. All 5 of them by the tree, hands mid-sign, laughing together. The ornament of signing hands still sat at the top. Below it, in Lauren's calligraphy, family isn't just about blood or law. It's about choosing each other again and again. We chose friendship first, then we chose love. And every day, we choose each other. We are complete. On this Christmas morning, they gathered by that same tree, older now, fuller, louder. Caleb sat between his sisters, watching them sign the Christmas story with dramatic flair. Margaret presided over the chaos with her knowing smile. Travis pulled Lauren close, kissing her temple. "Remember that restaurant?" he whispered.
Lauren looked around at the wrapping paper explosion, at the children laughing, at Margaret directing traffic in sign language, at the life they'd built from one terrible night and 2 brave little girls. "Every single day," she signed back. "Best night of my life." "Because you got stood up?" "Because I got found." And as Cassie and Callie pulled her into their elaborate present opening system, color-coded and scheduled to the minute, Lauren thought about that text from 5 years ago. "The death thing is more than I'm looking for." She smiled, because the man who'd sent it had been right about one thing. She was more than he deserved, more than he could handle, more than his small world could contain. She was a teacher, a wife, a mother, a daughter, a friend. She was deaf and fluent and brave and loved. She was complicated and beautiful and exactly enough for the people who mattered. She was home. "Mama, it's your turn to open a present," Caleb signed, pressing a lumpy, homemade package into her hands. Lauren unwrapped it to find a clay ornament the children had made together. 3 small handprints and the words, "We picked each other," painted in purple, green, and red. She looked at Travis through tears. He was crying too. "For the tree," Cassie explained, "next to the family hands at the top, because that's where the important things go," Callie added. Lauren pulled all 3 children into her arms, Travis and Margaret joining the embrace, and thought about how 5 years ago she'd been sitting alone in a restaurant, believing her story had ended. She'd been so wrong. It hadn't ended. It had just been waiting to begin. If this story touched your heart, share it with someone who needs to remember. The best love stories start with friendship. The strongest foundations are built slowly, and sometimes the people meant to change our lives arrive exactly when we need them, not as romance, but as connection, as understanding, as chosen family. Because at the end of the day, the best families aren't rushed into, they're built, brick by brick, choice by choice, day by day. Subscribe and be part of our Soul Lift Stories family, where every story lifts the spirit and reminds us that light always finds its way back. And if this moment moved you, share it, because sometimes sharing hope is the kindest thing we can do.